Hey y'all, welcome to Cocktail Hour. This is your midweek mini episode. I am Meg.
And I am Nikki. In today's episode, we are covering some of the biggest wedding scams brought to you from Instagram at empirestate.events, which we don't necessarily agree with.
Agreed. I am also going to call it some bad behavior here because that's what I like to do. I don't like it, but it's the Lord's work. So this was also posted word for word first by on Instagram at @IGotYou_weddings. I did not know that originally until I was looking at the comments of this post, and they were like, yo, this was word for word our post. So anyways, we're going to read exactly what was written, allegedly by both of these accounts, and let you know if we agree, because regardless of who posted it first, we can kind of agree to disagree on some of these. And kicking us off, they say this is a wedding scam. Champagne towers.
I just want to clarify really quickly.
Yeah.
They literally are posting this video, and by they, I mean empirestate.events, who apparently copied at IGotYou_weddings.
Yeah.
They're literally posting this video saying these are the biggest wedding scams. Not, a ripoff or money.
Yeah.
Like this
or
is
things we don't think
things
are
we don't
worth
like
it.
or trends that we hate. No. They're calling these the biggest wedding scams.
Yeah.
Which is in and of itself a hot take.
Yeah,
Like why
it's a little
are you
dramatic?
Why are you?
Yeah.
Why?
To me, a scam is like what banks do, like
The episode of Friends when Monica got scammed by somebody pretending to be
That
her.
lady.
Like, yes, literally that is a scam when somebody is like, or, trying to call your grandma saying, hey, this is your
jail.
Yeah, this is your nephew, so-and-so. I'm in jail. Wire me $50,000 so I can post bond. That is a scam.
Yeah.
A champagne tower is not a scam.
Anything that a couple deems necessary, not even necessary, but that they would like for their wedding,
lovely.
not a scam.
That's not a scam.
Dictionary.
Let's just clear that up.
Anyways, so yes, number one that they say is a wedding scam is champagne towers. They say they're sticky, messy, impractical. I love a champagne tower.
I've read these already. Like, we've gone over these, and suddenly I am irate. Like, I'm not even, like, upset. My heart is beating so fast. I'm not, like, pissed. I'm like, this is so dumb. Like, you're a dumb butt. You are a dummy. You are a dumb butt. Who made this? Obviously not at Empire State. Whoever made this, I don't like you.
Yeah, we don't like it either way. And we do live in an era right now where and maybe they do feel this way, or maybe they just think it's going to get traction on the internet by saying things like this. Either people are really going to agree, really going to disagree, but regardless, they'll get engagement. And that is what it is. Like, people just post these things, or like biggest wedding trends of the year, or here are the ins and outs. And I'm like, does any of us fucking matter? Did you get paid? You got paid? Then shut up.
Literally, shut up.
Shut up.
You better shut up.
But we're gonna talk about it.
But okay, a champagne tower though, like, as we're like, people just post things to get traction, and we're like, follow us on TikTok and make sure that we go viral.
We will be reading these dumbass things.
But a champagne tower, you guys, is so fun. Is it hurting you? Does champagne get places? Oh, do we have to mop it up?
Yeah.
Sure.
Fabuloso.
But are people, fabuloso. Okay, literally last week we were leaving the office. It's like 7 a.m. when we leave here, or 8:30. I don't know, 9 a.m. Who knows? It varies on the time of day. But we're leaving and we get into the elevator and I'm like, oh, it smells so clean in here. And I go, they must be using Fabuloso. And Meg literally looks at me. She goes, I was going to say pine sol. And I'm like,
you say it in the most white way too. Pine sol.
That, first of all, this isn't a wooden floor. Pine sol is for wood.
I don't clean.
I used to clean apartment buildings back in the day. You know.
Doing your thing.
But that's why I know these things.
Yeah.
Because of that.
And I was like, that's the difference between the two of us. Someone says Fabuloso and I'm like, pine sol.
Anyway.
Windex.
Hopping back into it, we love a champagne tower. It's quite literally not hurting anybody, and if that's what your couple wants, then who are you scamming? Who's getting scammed here?
Yeah, it's super fun.
I think the pictures are cute. They're pretty. They're a little just fun, flash vibey at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I don't care.
You know what I do actually think is a wedding scam? Because this has nothing to do with what the couple wants. When people charge a cake cutting fee.
Who does this? If you're doing this, contact us. We will rip you a new one.
That to me is a scam where
That's
I
a
go,
scam.
give me a break. What do you have, a machete? Like, what are you using to cut this? Like,
Machete.
I don't understand why is this so expensive to cut the cake? And then they don't let you cut the cake.
Where are you seeing this?
That's a thing. I don't know who, and if you're a caterer who I love and you do this, like, I still love you, but like, get it together. But I know catering teams or venues or whatever who say like, we will cut the cake. It is a fee. Okay, I'll cut my own cake. No, no, you
Is
cannot.
that because they're getting the cake from the caterer?
No, it's besides the cake fee, like the money for the cake. It is just to cut it.
So if I bring in my own cake from Costco, I can't cut my own cake, is what you're telling me?
I'm not saying this is everybody, but this is a thing I've seen.
Okay, well, that's a scam.
I know.
Reception games. These are going to pull people off of the dance floor. First of all, what do we mean by reception games? I'm confused. Like the shoe
Yeah,
game?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm assuming. Like the
Yeah.
shoe game where the couple sits back to
Which I
back.
have not seen in a long time.
I haven't seen it
At least
in a
2
long
years.
time either.
Yeah. So reception games, I get it, but also those typically happen before full dance floor happens.
Yeah.
I don't think they happen in the middle. And if they do, I do agree that like maybe that's not the best case to do it in the middle. Like let people
Okay, but
vibe.
again,
But it's not a
who
scam.
cares?
Yeah.
It's also what they want to do.
Yeah.
Let them eat cake.
Yeah. Be careful. A model
Yeah,
said
don't
that once.
cancel me.
A model said that and people flipped out about it.
Let them do the shoe game.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
So dumb.
A giant dessert station. So often most people forget about the desserts while they're partying all night.
Do not come for the dessert stations.
No.
I will fight for the dessert table.
There's nothing I love more than mini desserts.
I love a dessert
Stacked.
station.
Yeah.
I love a dessert
guess what?
station.
Being at 40 plus weddings a year, so do your guests. They
100%
love it.
Love it. This is not a scam. If you saw this Instagram post and you're listening now, this is not a scam. We
No.
love a dessert station. it
Honestly,
is worth its money.
People like it more than cake.
Like a cake, yeah.
They do.
I love it.
That's
'Cause then
what
you
I would
can
do for mine.
graze, you can go back, you can
Variations.
pick a little.
Yeah. I had a wedding in January and they did the dessert stations and it was like little mini creme brulees.
I love
and,
it.
And yeah.
Whoever's
so
writing this
good.
is just a hater.
It was so good.
Flower cones. People cannot be trusted with these things. They spill or just dump them out. Okay, well, first of all, they're meant to be dumped out. Like that's the point of a flower cone is
They
you're meant to
can't
toss
handle
it.
them.
Like I don't understand. Like,
I
do you
don't
think people are
understand.
getting the flower cones pre-ceremony and they're just like pouring it on their own head? Because I've never seen that. Anytime that I've seen a flower cone
Yeah.
handed out pre-ceremony to be thrown onto the bride and groom during the recessional, it's always done pretty normally.
Pretty
I mean,
well.
yeah, people get confused or set them down and like, okay.
Yeah.
But I've never seen somebody be like hand it to their 3-year-old and be like, hey, you want to really
Yeah.
fuck shit up today? Go throw these flowers everywhere.
Also, tip to couples, if you are having people throw shit as you're walking back down the aisle, reserve the seats on the aisle and try to have people like that like put people there that know that they are going to be throwing things.
What I've seen is I've had ushers hand them out specifically and tell people these are for when the bride and groom are walking back down the aisle.
That's smart.
Please throw them.
throw them.
They'll look really nice in photos. Like I've seen that done.
Yeah.
When Grace got married, actually,
Nice.
our friend Grace got married in October, and that's what their ushers did. And I, being me, I'm like making sure the ushers are doing this. I'm
Yeah.
like, make sure you tell people, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. But like literally simple communication goes a long way. So
Yeah.
whoever's like writing these,
It's such a great photo, by the way. I am, as a photographer, I tell couples, like, look, your wedding day is not all about the photos. And I stand by that. But if something's going to happen, like people throwing things as you're walking out, I love the photo. It's going to
beautiful.
happen anyway. So why don't we do it to the best of our ability? So
beautiful.
yeah, have your ushers kind of tell them. But also, let me just say, this verbiage, like flower cones, people cannot be trusted with these things. Like the dramatics.
Stop.
of it. Is that even the word?
Yeah.
The dramatics of it. I once saw this stand up, or I was listening to Louis C.K., the stand up comedian, talk about how like people use words nowadays where it's just like, can you just stop? Like the word hilarious. He was listening to a conversation in line and someone says, "You know who I saw the other day?" And the other person's like, "Who?" And the other person's like, "Jane." And the person responds, "That's hilarious." And he's like, words have no meaning anymore.
Honestly, that's true.
They don't.
It's
We
really
just
true.
use them. And I'm like, okay, let's
Lot
just
of,
calm down.
Like buzzwords too, especially in our industry.
Yeah.
There are a lot of buzzwords that, come about. And
Yeah.
not that necessarily these are buzzwords, but these are definitely things that are so dramatic. Like, stop with it.
Yeah.
Just relax. Like, this isn't happening. And I want to know what type of vendor or person wrote
Yes.
these.
That's a very good point. Who wrote this? Like, what perspective are you looking at this from?
Here's my guess. It was a planner.
I could see that. Because
That's 100% my guess.
And here's why I think, and I think I can speak for you too. Sticky, messy, and impractical champagne towers.
Yep.
You
You're
don't
the
want
one
to clean
cleaning
it up.
Yep. That's exactly why I'm saying it.
Giant dessert station. You're the one like managing
Setting it
and like
out. Yep,
figuring
getting
that
people
out.
there. Flower cones. You're the ones handing them out and telling people what to do with them.
Yep.
This was a planner.
Yeah.
And we love our planners.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
there's not I'm saying like this is obviously a planner who is maybe just fed up and sick of their job.
Yeah, 100%. I will also say what you had said earlier about buzzwords, and I'll tag him. And I'll find the reel. I just saw a reel of a photographer who makes pretty good videos, and he essentially said like, when you look at photography websites nowadays, it's almost a competition to see who could use a thesaurus better.
110%.
And I almost
dropping
peed.
in words.
Yeah.
So like it's literally the same thing being said over and over and over again in 700 different versions.
Just chat GPT rephrase this. And I think we're all guilty of it to some extent. I want to get to a point really where I just go, here are the photographs.
Yeah.
Get on a Zoom call with me, see if we vibe, but otherwise here are the photographs. I don't need to tell you why you need to hire me or use different language to convince you.
It should be pretty obvious based on A, our conversation, and B, the images that I'm providing you.
Yeah, agreed.
And that's it.
Okay, next one, bridal purse. You won't use it.
I also disagree with this one. I had my bride in Mexico. I was telling you this when we were first going over it. She had the most beautiful beaded custom Etsy bridal purse.
Yeah.
She used it for her rehearsal the night before. She kept her lipstick in it the day of. I think my mom carried it for a little bit. And then like her personal attendant had it. And then she had it.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, stunning, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Loved it. It was beautiful in photos. She was able to carry around some of her necessities without being like,
someone, I need my lipstick.
I need you to go run
this.
and get this. Like,
Yeah.
So please kindly fuck off.
It's also not just about having the purse the day of. That is something that can be used on anniversaries, used for special occasions.
Hand it
passed
down.
Yeah.
I
Things like
love
that.
it.
I think that now I'm no one to talk because I'm not giving my ring to nobody. I don't care if it saves someone. I'm not giving it to anybody. But I think that we don't live in a world where we have heirlooms much anymore. And I think we should bring that back.
I agree.
I think we need to bring back printing your fucking photographs and passing things down. That is the only way that we're going to remember things.
Yep.
So.
Okay. Vintage cars. So many horror stories of them breaking down, being late, or not showing up most of the time. Where are these horror stories? I just want to know. Because literally my point is these vintage cars are typically used for like a 5-second little drive off photograph or during portraits where you're having your bride and groom portraits done and you're using it as a prop. Never have I seen a vintage car be used in a sense of like, we're driving this 2 hours back to our Airbnb and we're taking it and we're going back and we're going to just hope that it doesn't break down. This vintage 32 Mercedes Benz. Like I've
never seen that. Yeah. Now, if you have a problem with like, I hate the vintage car trend where they just take photos with it. Okay, sure.
That's fine.
Hate
That's
it.
just a hot take.
Yeah, like hate it. That's totally fine. But to be like, no,
This is
don't
a
even
scam.
use them. I'm like, okay, it sounds like you just didn't like coordinating it and you didn't want to deal with putting it into the timeline.
Yep.
So, um, sorry, I totally burped there. Giveaways. Most of the time it will be left behind.
What?
Who's also I've seen giveaways maybe once at a wedding. How much is this really
I've
happening?
never seen it.
Or are they talking about favors?
Probably. That's exactly. You know what? This must be a British person.
Maybe.
I'm not joking.
I've never
This,
heard that.
You know what? This might be the Brits.
Maybe.
This might be the English people, or maybe somebody in the South. It's Wild West Wedding. Tune into our episode coming out on Friday because we
Little
talk about
Easter
that.
egg, Wild West
Little
weddings.
Easter egg.
Yeah, maybe it is favors. Now here's my thing.
I think it is.
I don't disagree that
This is one that I actually kind of agree with.
yeah. And now I do not think it's a scam, but I do think that people I'd rather you don't waste your money
Agreed.
unless it's really going to be something that people do like. And I've seen some cool things like I had a wedding I think last year where they gave away bottles of olive oil like from Italy,
Love.
like
Love, love,
things
love,
that
love.
people will really use, but giving like a little bag of M&Ms or something. I'm like, what? Don't even
Even worse, almond joys or whatever.
yeah, I'm like, just no, it's not Halloween.
My friend and her husband, shout out to Emily and Bo, for their wedding, they like homemade, not handmade, homemade hundreds of bottles of mini limoncello. They made it from scratch for months ahead of time, packed it, bottled it, and that was their wedding favors. And he's Italian. Like they love Italy. They went to Positano for their
Love
honeymoon.
that.
Like they, that's something that was significant to them. So
Yeah.
if there is something that is, really meaningful that you can do and that people will use, baby girl, pop off. Do
or
it.
even more, like not better than that, but like if you don't want to buy something, handwritten letters.
Love that.
And I know that's tough depending on your guest count, but people would love that more than a little trinket.
Yeah,
Writing
I agree.
how they impacted your life, essentially why you invited them to your wedding.
Yep.
I think is really big and something
think
that
so
I would
too.
absolutely, I would love.
Me freaking too. All right, last and not least at all, the one that I agree with probably the least. Cocktail hour entertainment. Most people will be too social.
Sorry, I wrote that. I probably
Hold
fucked
on.
it up.
No. Also, I might agree with this one a little bit, but okay. Cocktail hour entertainment. Most people will be too busy socializing to notice the entertainment. I just want to say, initially, I kind of thought that they were like, "Oh, cocktail hour is a scam."
I read it that way,
That's how we
too.
first read it.
Yeah.
I don't think cocktail hour is a scam. Love me a cocktail hour. Give me a snack.
Clearly.
Give me a 10-minute break. Clearly, we love a cocktail hour.
Yeah.
Cocktail hour entertainment. Now, if you're hiring like a magician to pull a scarf out of his butt, yes. Is that maybe a waste of time? Sure. But if you're hiring like, I don't know,
Like a
live music,
yeah.
a little string quartet,
exactly.
like I think that's vibey. I think
It's a
that's fun. I
vibe.
think that's cool.
It's for the ambiance.
I agree.
No one is staring at the string quartet. Like
No,
they're not
yeah.
being distracted by it. I do agree. People are busy socializing. It's the
vibe,
ambiance.
baby. It's for the vibe.
It's for the vibes. But I did read that as well, that cocktail hour was a scam. And I go,
Me too. I
what
was like,
the fuck are you
that's
talking
not
about?
true. So I will fight someone on that, but that's not what they were saying. However, the majority of this list, I think, is ridiculous. So at EmpireState.events, who copied at I got you _weddings, both y'all are just dead wrong. And I know you're British. I
Yeah.
bet you, I'm going to just look them
And
up
I know
really
you're a
quick.
planner.
Let me confirm.
While you're looking that up, this was like a super quick episode. So I actually want to talk about one more thing or like kind of share one more thing that I saw on the interwebs that I think would be fun.
New York. Okay. EmpireState.events is New York.
Where's the I got you? Because that's the originator of the post.
Got you. What is it? I got you _weddings.
Weddings, yeah.
Jeez, what a long name, you guys. Okay. Oh, gosh darn it. I got you _weddings.
What are they? Like, what's their bio?
Daily reels to help you plan your dream wedding. I've worked over 500 weddings from yes to I do tons of free planning tools. They have 26.8 thousand followers. The tons of free planning tools makes me think they're a planner.
Or we're a
Or
planner.
we're a planner. Let me go to their bio because they have a stand store. I'm assuming they sell guides and all that stuff, which they do. Wedding planning guides, ultimate bride guides, do it yourself wedding entertainment guide, parent speech guides, wedding moment music guide. There's a ton of guides.
Does it say that they still offer wedding planning services? 'Cause
No, it's all guides.
hot take. When you see people offering guides and education and they no longer do the thing that they are selling guides for, run. And I see this with photography sometimes. People turn into a full-time educator and I go, that's all well and good. Get your bag, okay? But if you're an educator and you have fully taken yourself out of the industry, like if you don't shoot weddings anymore, I don't want to hear what you have to say about shooting weddings because your experience, this changes so drastically from year to year, the trends, the expectations that couples have, all this stuff. So no, I don't want to spend $200 on your guide when you don't actually know the most up-to-date trauma that we're all dealing with. And I love what I do, but it can be crazy.
I agree.
So this is a reminder to all that if you do want to go into the education space, absolutely, I think that's a great idea. If you have the knowledge and the experience to give to people, like that's such a great way to flex and to bring in additional income, but also ensure that you know what you're talking about year over year, and that you don't just completely pull yourself from the industry. I don't feel like you're a trustable source in that at that point.
I'm still on I got you underscore weddings.
I was like, dude,
at I got you underscore weddings page. And I'm assuming this person was a planner. I'm just like having a hard time. They have a pinned post, their first pinned post. And it's just like, I've worked over 500 weddings in 13 years. Try over 15,000 in less than 6 months. Like,
what?
I think they're meaning in terms of like, maybe selling guides and helping people, but like this definitely seems like it was somebody who was a planner. Again, doesn't clarify quite literally anywhere.
Like did
It
they
says like
specifically
hashtag wedding
plan?
planning, hashtag wedding planning, hashtag wedding hacks, hashtag wedding trends, hashtag wedding tips. But I don't see anywhere that said like I was a wedding planner. It says I sang my first wedding in 2012. I ran my first wedding in 2015. I started my own wedding band in 2018. And by 2024, I'd worked over 500 weddings.
Oh, so that doesn't mean you've planned 500 weddings.
No.
Also, jack of all trades, master of none, whatever they say. Like, okay, do I really trust? And here's the problem sometimes with social media is you have all these people that are giving you wedding advice who really you should not be taking wedding advice from. If I'm speaking to you right now, if you are planning a wedding, please do not just take random ass advice from the internet. Go to the trusted vendors that you have hired and you've put money into and get their take on things.
Especially after listening to this list of wedding scams from somebody who's saying they have worked over 500 weddings. They were singing.
Yeah.
They were in a band.
So why are we paying them money for guides and why are we listening to their advice? But your Aunt Sally, your mom, your friend who got married back in 2018, none of them are people that I would necessarily take advice from. I'm sure their intent is very good, but it's not always applicable, especially when it comes to budget, style, like logistics. Please go to your vendors and heed their advice. You do not have to do what they said or what they, advised you on, but go to them to kind of get a more realistic idea of what you should be doing.
I don't know why I'm so stuck on whether this person's British or not, but I just need to know. And also, I'm kind of curious as to where they're getting all of their like cover photos from and all of their
they're not tagged like photographers.
Yeah, and like all of
credit?
the videos and stuff. No, it doesn't say, but it's like videos and stuff. And here is specifically the post that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And this one says favors. Number 8.
Oh, so they changed favors to giveaways and
probably to make it seem a little bit more themselves or like original.
Yeah, like they made it.
Their list actually has different ones. So Champagne Tower, photo booth, which we didn't cover, reception games, dessert stations, flower cones, bridal purse, luxury vintage cars, favors, and then corsages, nose Nosegays? Am I saying that wrong?
Let me see.
Literally says,
I don't know.
and boutonnieres.
So clearly that other account did rip this from I Got
sure.
You, but they also added ones that I disagree with. Again, scam is such an not a word that I would use for these things. I would say like
This says that this is the biggest waste of money. Their post says, these are the 10 biggest wastes of monies for your wedding. Save and send to your fiance.
so I could definitely say here are items
That I just don't agree with or like and think would be
Yeah.
a waste of money for me.
or ways to cut money off the budget, like things like that. But yeah. So I'm happy that they didn't use scam, but you know. Okay, transitioning a little bit. I have a DJ that I love here in the Twin Cities, Tornado Jolly, and he had posted a little graphic that was hard truths for wedding DJs. I just sent it to you on Instagram. So I want to read a couple of these because I do agree with them. So, and I'm gonna post the photos. You guys can follow along on Spotify and YouTube. So, wedding DJs should not be flirting with your guests.
Or with your other vendors.
Yeah, that's true. And here's what I do think happens is DJs and bands will sometimes have it even written into their contracts that they can drink on the job because like it gets them vibey. It also gets them flirtatious. It also gets them inappropriate if they've had too many. There's a wedding band that I've since removed off of my preferred vendor list because they end up drinking a little bit too much and I don't want to work with them. And if I end up working with them, that's fine, but I've taken them off. But it says, not a good look. Keep it in your pants, freak. You're literally hired to do a job on the biggest day of someone's life. LMAO, lock in. DJ is way more fun than making out. I'm just like, who's making out?
I don't know. I like making out.
No, I mean like, you have to DJ. How are you making out with
Obviously.
someone? And to be honest, she's not gonna make out with you because you're being an absolute right now and you sicken me.
Weirdo, an absolute weirdo right now.
I truly feel like maybe there's a specific situation he's referring to because it seems very personal. You do the next one.
No one is trying to hear your tight five. Too many DJs MC weddings by trying to be a stand-up comedian. Here's something to consider. Don't. It's not about you. It's about the couple and their friends and family. Tell people when dinner's happening and when the shuttles are leaving. The mic is for toast and for the officiant. Mic drop, period, boom.
Yeah.
I have had so many just kind of like overbearing DJs almost to the point where it's like, all right, brother, you gotta chill. Like you're taking it to the next level. And this isn't a stand-up show that like people are paying to come see you at.
Yeah.
You're actually the hired DJ who is here to just kind of keep things moving along.
Yeah.
Play a bomb ass song or two, but like
Agreed.
sit down.
And I think that being an quote unquote MC is a very special skill. There are great photographers. There are great DJs who like you said, can keep it moving. They are personable, but they don't overdo it. It is a skill. And I do agree. And the next one goes over this. Like, you need to know how to DJ. You need to know when it's too much and like when you just need to shut the fuck up.
Really quick, did you know that in other states and countries, there are specific people, not DJs, but wedding MCs that get hired. And I just want to put this out there. Anybody who's watching who needs a wedding MC. Personally, I love to MC an event. I'm not going to lie. When I was in my church cult, I would MC every speaking event, typically,
so funny.
that we had in front of like 300, 400 people at a time. Love MCing.
So if you want a talker, hire an MC. But if you hire a DJ,
call me. Not for DJing. But if you want a wedding MC, I will MC the shit out of your wedding.
I think you'd be good at that.
I think I'd be so good.
You're good at talking.
I think I would really
and I mean
love
that in like
it.
a good way.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Also, I just have to shout out that he's using all these graphics from Michael Jordan's The Last Dance docuseries. It is so fucking funny. Wedding DJs should actually know how to DJ. The days of being a glorified Spotify are dead. You need to at least be blending. Come on, dog. Fading in and fading out will not suffice. And once people hear a real DJ, they will not be going back. There are so many of us in Minneapolis now, dude. You may need to hang it up. That is such a There's nothing that kills a dance floor more than playing an entire 3.5 minute song back to back to back to back. I hate it as a photographer, and I slowly see people leaving the dance floor. It's not, you can't do it. You need to be able to mix.
I think our generation can definitely notice and appreciate the difference in somebody just throwing a playlist together and somebody mixing songs together. Like you said, playing a full 3-minute song on a freaking dance floor is not necessarily something that people want to hear or do. Personally, for me, when I'm in the car, and I know you're the exact same, I will change a song 30 seconds to maybe 45 seconds to a minute in, depending on how long the song is.
Yeah.
I need a little variety in my life. And I think when the DJs are legit DJs who are mixing shit up and throwing stuff together and really like being authentically good at that, like that is something that helps a ton when it comes to the difference between like dance floor, just kind of keeping the music playing and keeping the vibe alive.
Agreed. And I think like the ability to get in different genres, different generations of music is so important, and that's why mixing is important. Like, you want to be able to hear some Kendrick Lamar or some Chappell Roan and then some Footloose by Kenny Loggins. Like, that's how you're going to keep different generations on the dance floor. And let's be honest, in this day and age, we don't have super long attention spans. So if you can be really getting people's interest over and over and over again in a quick manner, like, that's where it's at. And there's nothing I love more than being on a dance floor. Like, when people look at me, and yes, I have a camera in my hand, but I'm like, I'm dancing too, because that's how much I love it, and it just gets the energy going. But let's also talk about really quick how to have a pop-in dance floor, because it's not just about the DJ. The DJ is the top tier of this iceberg of like ensuring, but couples, you need to be on the dance floor. At least the first couple songs, you got to get on that dance floor. Otherwise, it doesn't matter sometimes how good the DJ is. If you're nowhere to be found, no one's kind of kicked things off. It's just the music starts and people are so nervous to be the first ones on the dance floor.
Okay, there's so many factors that could go into that, but also another thing really quickly, not only for that purpose, but also for your wedding gallery, you guys. If you're looking at your gallery and you're getting it back and you're like, there's no photos of me and, Johnny Boy on the dance floor. Okay, where were you? Because we're typically only there for an hour of dance floor coverage or so.
At max.
At max.
Yeah.
And if you are, outside mingling, whatever, that's great, but then don't expect us to have hundreds of photos of you on the dance floor when you're nowhere to be found. Or if it's just you being the bride and the groom is nowhere to be found, which is something that I think is very common, you're not going to have any dance floor photos of the two of you together. And oftentimes we are searching for the groom, saying, get on the dance floor, dance with your girl or dance with your guy. It's something that you kind of have to recognize and say, like, okay, yeah, I do want to talk to my bro from the frat. Like, but also, you just got married.
It's your one wedding day.
Shake your ass with your bride for at least 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
2 songs.
It is not going to kill you to get out on the dance floor. And I understand some people are uncomfortable. Adam, for instance, is not, like, dancing in public, I don't think is something he quite enjoys doing. Okay, well then have a cocktail or two and suck it up, buttercup. Because you will actually enjoy yourself more once you get out there and do it. But having those memories, people on a wedding day, it's very easy. And I always tell my couples this in our 30-day meeting where I go, look, during cocktail hour, especially, people love having those photos of the two of them interacting with their friends and family, but you're going to get pulled in different directions, or people are going to try to, not on purpose, but so-and-so wants to see you and so-and-so. Try to stick together.
Agreed.
Like, if you want those photographs, if you want those moments with people, you have to be there. You cannot expect your photographer to be like photoshopping. You spent the entire evening separate and you expect to have photos together. It is not going to happen. And if you come to me complaining about something, I'm going to be very honest, and it might hurt your feelings, and that's not my goal, but I'm going to tell you, like, well, you weren't on the dance floor, so, or like you weren't with each other at all. How am I supposed to photograph you together if you're not together? Make it make sense.
Agreed.
Anyways, y'all. Okay, well, thanks for sharing your hump day with us. Don't forget to subscribe and review the pod wherever you listen. We drop full episodes on Fridays, but then on Wednesdays, we're dropping these little mini midweek episodes. So we're on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.
And before we wrap really quickly, I just want to say for next week's mini episode, I was on one of the Facebook groups for photographers, wedding photographers specifically, and there was some discourse happening, and I ended up sharing 2 stories and saw a friend of mine also share a story of when there was a accidental, you deliver a gallery and you don't realize that a private part is showing. And I've had that happen to me literally twice. How? And this girl had it happen to her once where she delivered a wedding video and didn't realize that there was a nip slip in the video. And I've had it happen to me where I've delivered a gallery, and if we're going to get into it next week, I want to share with you guys next week. And I just think it's super funny because tell me how I edit 1,000 images and I don't see your dad's nuts in a picture. And I'm not even kidding you guys. Full on nuts. We'll get into it.
Okay, we'll get into it. So make sure to listen next week. Jesus Christ.
We will fully jump into it, but I just wanted to share a little teaser into what we'll be talking about. So don't forget to follow along with us on Instagram at cocktailhour.podcast and submit your stories. Our link is in the bio. Everything is anonymous. And just make sure that you're following us on the TikToks too. Our TikTok is at Cocktail Hour Podcast, no dots or anything like that.
Perfect.
Bye.